Last June, the United States Supreme Court ruled that it was unlawful to ban any same-sex couple from getting married. And certainly in the media, we've seen a shift towards better representation of LGBT people, from the diverse, superbly written cast of Orange is the New Black to same-sex representation in shows aimed at kids. I initially didn't want to make a list like this. It just feels kind of othering, like gay couples need to be distinguished from straight couples or something like that. But this subject has been heavy on my mind this past year, between the Supreme Court ruling and things that have happened in my own personal life. And it is important that we keep striving for better and more fair representation in the media, and recognize the truly well-written LGBT couples we've seen so far. That said, this is still a list of my own personal favorite couples, and they're not always going to be the best and most well-written. And I'll certainly bring that up when that's the case. So I show my pride this season of love with a list of...
And this duet would just be an excuse to spend more time with you.
My top 7 favorite gay couples. Number 7.
And I'm loving the hair.
Thanks. You're looking snazzy as always.
After the finale of Legend of Korra aired, Brian Konietzko released an official statement on his Tumblr that he and the production team had been kicking around the idea of Korrasami right from the get-go. And you can take that or leave it. Frankly, to me, most of the build-up for them seems a bit flat. Their friendship in Book 3 was sudden and a bit awkward at times, and aside from a few key moments, that's all their relationship ever feels like, a friendship. That said, from the way the finale is staged, it is clear the creators wanted to get across a romantic connection between the two. And there's definitely potential there. Korra and Asami are good foils for each other. They balance each other out. And yeah, I know Brian said they were limited by the network, and I certainly don't doubt that, but it still could have been developed a lot better. At least we can hope for more from the comics.
I've always wanted to see what the spirit world's like. Sounds perfect.
Number 6.
I'm Angel.
Angel. Friends call me Collins.
Rent is an interesting creation. It's been a source of inspiration for theater lovers and LGBT youth. It was basically Jonathan Larson's last will and testament, and there's no denying the emotional weight of the soundtrack. At the same time, the script certainly has its flaws. The characters spend much of their time complaining about how they don't have any money, yet when an actual opportunity arises for them to get out of poverty, they turn it down for want of doing their own thing. The 3 major couples in the production are hit and miss. There's Roger and Mimi, who fight a lot and both struggle with addiction. There's Joanne and Maureen, who fight even more and don't really have that much chemistry to speak of. And for the opposite end of the spectrum, there's Angel and Collins, who fall in love almost immediately and then have absolutely no problems in their relationship. All 3 of these things are stuff that I would criticize in other works, so how is it that Angel and Collins get a spot on this list? Well, it is still my list, and I have a personal connection to the story. I first saw Rent in high school, and it was pretty much the first time I had ever seen gay characters and certainly a trans character portrayed so well, as actual people and not just as stereotypes or jokes. Before that point, I knew what a lesbian was and what it meant to be homosexual, but it was still mostly just a concept to me. Rent doesn't deal in concepts. Here were 2 people who met and fell in love and honestly truly cared for each other. This scene of Angel and Collins professing their love to each other had a big impact on me. It changed the way I thought about the gay community as a whole. And without getting too sappy, I think that's what Larson would have wanted. Number 5.
We're getting married.
The 90s were an odd time for gay representation in the media. There was certainly an effort to be more open about gender and sexual orientation, but it was very often played for laughs, shock value, or fan service. Friends was certainly guilty of all 3, even when it came to the staple gay couple of the show. Though many jokes were made at their expense, the writing did show them as a serious couple. in a long-term relationship. They're two people who really deeply cared for one another. I want to mention their wedding specifically, and two things that caught my attention. First, when Susan's parents are giving her away, we see that her father was in the military, and it's a nice subtle shutdown of conservative stereotypes. But more importantly, the woman marrying them opens the ceremony by saying this.
You know, nothing makes God happier than when two people, any two people, come together in love.
That had a profound impact on me when I first saw this episode, and the message has stuck with me since then. After all, love is the greatest gift that God gave us, and if He made us the way we are, why wouldn't He want us to express that love? So despite some shaky and often cliched writing, Carol and Susan's relationship still did have a lot to offer.
How come you never mentioned Ben before?
We just cooked it up.
That's what we were off doing.
Number 4.
You know, you might just be my favorite person again. Just saying. I know my girl. Just saying.
The Last of Us was a tour de force of storytelling and visuals that raised serious questions about humanity and the nature of good and evil. But more than that, it just had superbly well-written characters. In the DLC Left Behind, we get a glimpse into Ellie's past and the friend she briefly mentions at the end of the game. Ellie and Riley sneak into an abandoned mall, and after messing around for a while, they share a brief kiss. The nice thing about this romance is that it feels very genuine. This isn't subtext. If you watch the way they interact throughout the story, it's clear there's real physical tension between them. The way they relate goes beyond just friendship. There's a romantic undercurrent to everything they say and do. So the kiss isn't there just for shock value, it's built up to. And it's not fan service either. Hayley Kiyoko, the artist behind last year's viral hit Girls Like Girls, said one of her motivations for making the song and the video was that lesbian relationships in media are often shown from the perspective of the male gaze, and she wanted to show one as its own relationship, one that grew from a genuine friendship, one that's there for the sake of the characters and not just for the audience. And that's what we get with Riley and Ellie. When it comes to writing LGBT couples, we can all hope for more sincere writing like this in the future of games, and media in general for that matter.
Sorry.
Number 3.
Do not break the window. You'll get glass on her.
Sir, please tell your wife to relax. Everything is going to be okay.
That's a man.
Really?
I've said before that I'm not a big fan of procedurals. I prefer to watch stories with a clear-cut beginning, middle, and end. But one show I've managed to keep up with is Modern Family. It's a testament to how far gay relationships have come on television that Mitch and Cam aren't treated as something special. And by that I mean they're not token characters, they're not the quirky gay couple or the gay best friend. Their problems are just as mundane as the other two married couples on the show. And then there's the fact that they're just cute together, embodying the opposites attract trope without being over the top about it. This being a sitcom, it does occasionally fall back on cliched humor. But overall the writing is solid, and these two will just never stop being fun to watch.
Yes.
Number 2.
Well, at least we caught all the Kuramon, Davis.
Yeah, but Easy will be mad.
I've already spoken at length about this couple and don't really want to repeat myself. I will say this. If Ken had been a girl, I'm pretty sure the story would absolutely have played up their relationship as romantic. Davis just has so much faith in Ken that he can't understand why the others can't see the good in him. And Ken is the only one who really seems to understand Davis's true potential. Throughout the story, they do so much to support each other, and it's just really heartwarming to watch. Whether you want to read their relationship as romantic or just a strong friendship, it's clear there's a deep connection between them. And it's just really nice to see.
We had a great time, Ken!
Me too, thanks.
Number 1.
Did they hurt you? No, I'm okay. Did they hurt you? Who cares? I do.
Rebecca Sugar has gotten away with a lot on her show by calling her characters agender space rocks. but the connotation to same-sex relationships is obvious, nowhere more so than in Garnet. Garnet herself is a metaphor for a lesbian couple, being a fusion of two smaller gems who are so close they can't bear to be apart from each other. The story of how Ruby and Sapphire met and fall in love is not only super sweet and adorable, it perfectly mirrors the struggles many people face when coming out. They have the whole opposites attract trope cranked up to 11, from their vastly different personalities to the fact they have opposing elemental powers. Though they haven't had much screen time so far, every moment we have seen them has been just dripping with adorableness. And I know the whole point of the story is that they prefer to stay together, but I'd love to see more of these two tiny lesbian gems in the future.
You know what's nice about being split up? What? I get to look at you.
There are so many well-written LGBT couples I didn't mention, so if your favorite isn't on the list, feel free to let me know who it is in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'm eternally optimistic, wishing you a very happy Valentine's Day. Look at this stinker not letting me film. She just has to be where I am.